Good morning, all. Good morning. Hello, Vicky. How are you? Can you hear me, Vicky?
I can now hear you. Apologies for that small technical glitch at this end.
That's okay. Thank you. Um, I was intrigued earlier what you sent me because I thought, hey, this is the first time we had this on here. Tell everybody about yourself first, and then tell them what you're going to talk about today.
Okay, so I'm a mindset and performance coach, and I specialize in the area of into this area of work through my own personal journey. So 5 years ago, I was struggling really badly with fibromyalgia and also with something called hypermobile EDS, Ehlers-Danlos loss syndrome. And it meant that I lived in chronic pain and fatigue, and that life was quite challenging. And I had a very, very negative mindset. I was very focused on what I couldn't do, what I had lost, what wasn't right in my life. And I basically managed to bring that into every aspect of my life. And I became really quite a difficult person to be around. And in the middle of 2016, I basically discovered personal development, and I started reading these books. I was hanging around with a group of people who were very positive, very open-minded, and who kind of believed that if they wanted to achieve something, they could go out and do it. And it was very refreshing to me. And I then started to do a lot of reading around the subject, and eventually, having met and been really inspired by a guy called Daniel Tolson online, he was coming over to the UK to do some training courses. So I put my hand in my pocket and I found quite a large amount of money that I'd never spent on myself before. And I invested in a course with this guy, and it was 3 days. And I arrived with 26,000 kilos of excess emotional baggage. And I left with a small clutch bag under my arm, having cried a lot and quite a lot more. Quite a lot more crying. We laughed, we made lifelong friends, and I discovered all sorts of things about me. And the basis of that course was something called NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. So it's basically about how your nerves work, your brain is working. The linguistic is what you say, and how you program yourself by what you say. And that's what I want to talk about today.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. And the topic you were talking. Tell everybody about the topic that you wrote.
Okay, so what I wrote this morning was that I wanted to talk about my concept called Flip It. And I'm not the first person to come up with this concept. It was coined by a guy called Michael Heppel. And I'm not talking about pancakes. I'm talking about the fact that if you focus on what you want and what you can do, you will feel a lot more positive than if you focus on what you don't want and you can't do. And by what you focus on, what your brain is thinking about all the time, you can radically change how you feel, both mentally and physically. So that's what I wanted to talk about today.
So number one, how do we do that?
How do we do that? Okay, well, I'm going to share with you some ideas about how you can do that whilst we're on today, Steve. So firstly, I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. And this is a great time of year to start thinking a little bit differently. It's a new year. What do you want out of this year? Now, there are two people in life, maybe there are three people in life. There's your optimists who will always see the glass half full, your pessimists who will always see the glass half empty. And then there's me and a few of people I know who believe that the glass is refillable. So the way you look at life is going to very radically change how you feel about life. And there's something in our brains called the reticular activation system. And I have spoken about this before.
Yeah.
And it basically means that once you start to think about something and focus on something, you will see more of that in your life. So what we see depends what we're looking for. If you're looking for things that you can't do, things that you don't want, that's what you will see. If you're looking for things that you can do and that you do want, that's also what you will see. And that's the way our brain works. It gets fixed on a subject. Now, one of the best ways to think about this is, how many times have you walked down a flight of stairs saying, don't trip, I mustn't trip down the stairs, I mustn't slip on the stairs, I don't want to fall over, and then you slip. And the reason that happens is because your brain can't process the negative in there. So it doesn't hear the don't bit. Your brain is just hearing the I want to slip, I want to fall over. You know, you'll say that to kids, don't fall over, and splat, they're over, because their brain is just listening to the bit that all they hear is fall over, fall over. And once we become aware of this, we can start to change the way that we think. So what I challenge you to do is to write a list, is going to be the first thing. And I would like you to write a list of all the things that you want to leave behind. So we all carry around all of this personal baggage with us. And I would like you to write a list of at least 10 things that you want to leave behind in your life so that it's no longer there. You don't want them in your life anymore. Things that you think, oh God, it'd be great to get rid of that. So that's the first thing I want you to do. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to write down a list of all the things you can't do. Okay, now I understand that a lot of people who listen to this podcast are struggling potentially with chronic, quite severe chronic illness, and have been through a lot. So write down all the things that you can't do. Okay, this might sound a bit weird at the moment. Then what I want you to do is I want you to write down a list of all of the negative self-talk and all of the self-belief that you have. Do you call yourself worthless, ugly, a freak, stupid, a failure, not good enough, hopeless, slow, a loser, pathetic, useless? What do you say to yourself? Write down all of that stuff as well. What we're going to do here is we're basically emptying your brain of all the negative stuff. We're going to get it out on a piece of paper. It's going to feel a little bit confronting, but I'm not going to leave you in that state because I'm going to tell you how to change that over. The last list of what I would like you to write is I want you to write a list of all the things you don't want in life. Okay, so you've got 4 lists now. You might have 40 things on that list in an ideal world. The first list is, what do you want to leave behind from the past? What's all that emotional baggage that just gets you down? Do you need to just forgive somebody for something that they've done in the past? Do you need to let something go? Write down all of the stuff you need to leave behind in the past. Write down all of your negative, write down all the things you can't do. 10 things you can't do. Write down a list of all your negative self-talk and all the things you believe about yourself that are negative. And finally, I want you to write down all the things you can't do. And when you've got that list written down, I want you to notice how you feel at the end of that. Now, when I first did this, I remember feeling really, really sad. I was feeling quite angry about all the stuff I could no longer do in my life. I'd had to give up because my body wouldn't let me do this stuff. And it got me down. So if you feel a bit down when you've written those lists, that's completely normal. However, what we're going to do now is we're going to flip it. So it's time to flip those phrases. So for example, if you've written down that you don't want to feel anxious, how can you flip that phrase? Well, what you can focus on is, what do you want? What state do you want to be in? So rather than saying, I don't want to feel anxious, you're going to change that phrase to, I want to feel calm and relaxed. The next thing you're going to think of, maybe you've put something down like, I can't do that because it's too hard. So maybe what you want to do is you want to change that and focus on, well, I can do a little bit of this. And maybe if I do a little bit every day, it will become easier. If you tell yourself that you can't sleep at night, you won't be able to sleep at night. What you want to tell yourself is that you want to sleep well at night. I want to sleep well at night. Now, I'm going to interject here and something that I've been doing in the last couple of days. I have very weak ankles from my Ehlers loss, and they really don't hold themselves up very well. So I have to wear ankle braces when I go walking, and I put a walking boot on as well. Now, I didn't used to be able to do any of this walking, but I decided that it was something I needed to leave in the past. And rather than thinking, I can't do this walking anymore, I looked at the fact, well, I can walk a bit, and I can use my ankle braces. And if I practice, I can get better at this. And now I can do pretty much what I could beforehand. But when I walk down steep, muddy paths, and there've been a lot of those recently, rather than saying to myself, don't slip, don't slip, don't slip, and then slip, for the last 3 or 4 days, I've walked down and I say, I can do this. I can get to the bottom. I can do this. I can get to the bottom. And I haven't slipped once since I started saying that to myself. And that's just even a little revelation for me in the last few days. So think about how you can flip over those phrases into something that you can do, you want, or maybe you can say that I'm not very good at it yet, but I could practice a little tiny bit. So maybe one of the things is, and I worked with a lady on this recently, she wanted to be able to walk to her local shop. Now, she really struggled with that without having somebody with her to help her. And she had become very housebound, and she really didn't know where to start. And I said, okay, so we're not going to be able to walk to the local shop overnight. It's not going to happen. But what could you do to start working towards that? What can you do? She said, I can go to the front door and I can open the front door. And that's all I wanted her to do. For a whole week, every day, she just went to the front door and she opened the front door because she could do it. And she felt better. The next week, she said, okay, I can take one step outside of my house and I can maybe stay out there for 5 minutes. So then she did the same. She took one step outside her house and she stayed out there for 5 minutes because she could do that. And as we worked together, she finally was able to get to the end of her path outside her house. And then she was able to get a few steps down the pavement, and then she'd turn around and she'd come back again. And then she'd go a step further each day and she'd come back again. And now she can walk all the way to the shop and back again without feeling anxious, without needing somebody to come with her. And she is able to do it. She takes her sticks with her and off she goes. And it's all about focusing what you can do. So don't frighten yourself by saying, I want to do this, like, big thing, and it's really scary. Focus on all the little things that you can do. Focus on how you want to feel. So some people would say, I don't want this pain anymore. So then flip that round. Okay, if the pain's maybe a 10 out of 10, what do you want the pain to get to? Can we get it down to a 9? Okay, I want the pain to be at a 9 today, and focus on the pain being at a 9 today. Don't go too big. Go with tiny baby steps. So what I want all of you to do who are listening in is I want you to take that list of things you've written down, and beside every negative thing you've written, I want you to write a positive sentence. I want you to notice how you feel when you're writing those positive sentences. And I suspect you might start to feel quite different. Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel calm and relaxed? Do you want to focus on getting your pain from a 10 to a 9? Do you want to focus on something that you maybe used to be able to do and you can't at the moment, but you'd like to slowly work back up again? I had to leave so much stuff behind. When I was bedbound in 2010 for about a month, and then it took me about another 8 months to get back to work full time again. And I had to give up a lot of stuff. I had to stop. I used to play tennis. I used to do a lot of downhill mountain biking. I was a really active person, and I had to give up stuff that I really couldn't do anymore. And I had to take 2 years off skiing to fully recover. But I knew there were certain things I wanted to be able to do again. So I said, okay, I'm going to have to leave all that stuff. I can't do that stuff anymore. I'm just going to have to let it go. I'm not going to dwell on it. Well, I did for a bit. And then I learned how not to dwell on it. And what I'm going to focus on are two things that are really important to me that I'm going to slowly work back up to. And that's precisely what I did. I slowly worked back up. And it was a matter of, firstly, walking on the flat. And then it was, okay, so I'm going to walk to my friend's house and back again. And then I'm going to be able to walk a bit further. And then maybe I, in the summer, could get a ski lift up the mountain and walk around at the top for a little bit because I can't walk up it anymore. And it was about gradually building up, focusing on what I could do so that eventually I got to a point where I felt more confident and I got fitter and I was moving forward slowly. And I think what happens when we're very ill or we've been in a state for a very long time is we don't feel we can move forward. We get bogged down in the place that we are. And we then start to look at, oh, well, I used to be able to do this and I can't do it anymore, or I should be able to do this. And we have all this talk going on, which is not helping us. And we stop looking at the future. We stop looking out to where we want to be, what we want to do. And yes, the future might not look like what you originally planned the future to look like, but there is a future out there and it's up to you as to what your future looks like. Now, you can choose to stay where you are, maybe not feeling great about life, or you can choose to make tiny changes every day that are going to give you different options. And one of the reasons that we feel depressed about life is because we don't have a future. We can't see where we're going. The other thing to remember is that we can choose how we feel about the future. So there are plenty of inspiring role models out there who have overcome great mental and physical pain, illness, disables, loss of limbs, all sorts of things, who might be able to inspire you. Now, they're no different from you, a lot of them, particularly they're no different from you and I. They've been in a difficult situation and they've chosen to find a way forward that's going to allow them to feel good about themselves, to allow them to feel they've accomplished things. And it's about finding those little things, because an accomplishment for my lady that I worked with was opening the door 7 days in a row and actually looking out of her house. That was an accomplishment for her. And I got her to celebrate her accomplishments. So think about those little things. What could you do? What can you do to start moving yourself forward so that you could be in a different position in a month's time, in 2 months' time, in 3 months' time? And it's about how you react. I have a friend who's my age. She's 46. And her spine is crumbling. And it's been crumbling since I've known her. I've known her for about 7 years now. She's two inches shorter now than when I first met her. She has morphine delivered to the door. She injects herself twice a day. She takes, I don't know how many different drugs, but she chooses to have a very forward and outgoing. She doesn't wallow in the situation. She used to, but she chose to change the way she looked at things. And now she's like, what can I do? Okay, she likes going to the horse racing. We live near Cheltenham. So she knows she can't stand up for a full day, but she can go in her wheelchair. She doesn't like using her wheelchair if she can't avoid it, but she can. She knows she can get health insurance to go on particular holidays. So she will choose very carefully where she's going to go so that she can actually go away somewhere. She will, she knows that she can't do too much on a daily basis. So she has someone to walk her dogs. But she knows she loves her dogs dearly and they're a very strong part of her life. But she can't do those bits. But she's constantly finding ways to do what she wants to do in a small way so that she feels that she's getting the most out of life, no matter how limited it is. So when you're going through all of your lists, focus on how positive you feel when they flip over. Now, I'm also going to give you a little quote here from a lady called Mandy Hale, and it's that happiness is letting go of what you think life is supposed to look like and celebrating it for everything that it is. Now, I went through this. I used to think life should be like this. I should be fit. I should be healthy. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be having children. I should be doing all of these things. And it was miserable because I knew that actually my body really wasn't in the right place to be having children. And I knew that it wasn't in the right place to be doing all of these things I thought I should be doing. But actually, you're only basing all of this on something you've made over there, which is totally unrealistic. Look at where we are. Look at what's real. And actually, happiness is an inside job. It's being able to say, okay, this is where I am in life. Life is pretty tough sometimes, but, and this is what I used to say to myself, but I'm not in a wheelchair yet. I might be one day. I hope not now, but I'm not in a wheelchair. I haven't lost the use of any of my limbs, or I can still speak. I have still got the use of my brain. I can still do this. Look at all of the things that you have got and work from there. And what can you be grateful for? So instead of using the word should, start to look at what you want, what you will do, what you can do, what you would like to do, how you want to choose to feel about things. And every time you use that word should, stop. Because all that will do is make you feel guilty, and you are comparing yourself against some perfectionist ideal reality over here that nobody lives in. So don't set yourself up for failure by trying to compare yourself against something you've made up in your head. And normally, if I was talking about this in a setting, there's an amazing video, and I'm just going to tell you the story a little bit. And it's very much what I've been saying, and it's about how the giant bamboo grows. Sounds a bit wacky. But there is a sort of an old story in the Chinese literature, and it's about a young man who's feeling that he's lost his way in life. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's feeling very down, and he goes to his mentor and he says, this is the situation. And his mentor says to him, do you know about the giant bamboo? And he says, no, I don't. So his mentor tells the story that you plant the seed of the giant bamboo and you water it for 1 year and you keep it in the sunshine and nothing happens. And then in the second year, you keep watering it and leaving it in the sunshine and nothing happens. And in the third year, you do the same, still nothing. Fourth year, you do the same, still nothing. And then in the fifth year, the giant bamboo grows to 90 feet tall in about 6 weeks. And he says to the young man, how long does it take the bamboo to grow? And the young man says 6 weeks. And he says, no, that's where you're wrong. It takes 5 years. Because if at any time the bamboo hadn't been watered and hadn't had the sunshine and hadn't been looked after, it would never grow to 90 feet in 5 years' time. So it's all about sowing the seed and slowly watering a tiny seed on a good day, every day, until it grows into something that you want. But you've got to keep going. You've got to keep doing all those tiny little things to end up with a big result at the end. So my challenge for you today is to approach 2022 with a new mindset. And if you approach with a new mindset, you're going to get new results. If you approach 2022 with your old mindset, you're going to get the same results. Because as Einstein says, if you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, you're down the wrong path. You've got to have a new mindset. So I challenge all of you, write those 4 lists, flip them all over to what you can do, what you want to do, all the stuff that you need to leave behind, where you need to be focusing in the future, all of the negative self-talk. How do you want to be talking to yourself? Notice how great you feel when you write that positive list. Tear up the old list. That's so 2021. Get rid of it. Keep your list of everything that you can do, you want to do, how you want to feel, the self-talk you want to have, and start 2022 taking those tiny little steps. Is it time for you to open your front door every day for a week and just see where that might lead to?
Well done, Vicky. That is really good. I had lots of questions here, and I thought I haven't got time now, but that was a good talk. Thank you so much. I think we all need that, and and I think you're right about kind of like we need to plant seeds and everything, and and we need to kind of sometimes when things are going tough, we need to flip it and kind of like and say, well, if we can't do this, we can't, because some things I remember a long time ago when I went to do some swimming. I said, no, I can't do swimming. And the next minute, I did it, and it's like I'm afraid of heights. If until we do it, we don't know, do we? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And
We're very good at telling our minds what we can't do. We're not very good at telling our minds that we might be able to do it. Or the other word is yet. I can't do it yet. Yet is a fantastic word because it means you can start having a go. So there you go.
Friend of mine, my friend of mine and a teacher of mine said, "There's not a word called no."
Absolutely,
it's true, isn't it?
It's just not
Vicky,
yet.
Yeah, that's it. Vicky, thank you. That was really good, honestly, brilliant. If you want to know more about Vicky, please contact her on Facebook, or I will make sure there's a link come up on the website. But in the meantime, Vicky, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you.
And to you too, Steve.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.